Author is funded by the Pacific Northwest Writers Association, supporting writers from pen to publication since 1955. To learn more about the PNWA and their yearly conference, please go to pnwa.org. Hi, this is Bill Kenower for Author Magazine, and I am at the Pacific Northwest Writers Association's Writers Cottage at Gilman Village in Issaquah, Washington, with Deb Caletti, author of He's Gone. Deb, welcome to Author.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
One of the interesting things I find about writers is how books start. They have to start somewhere. There has to be a seed.
Yeah.
Did this one start with that central question that the book asks?
It started with what happens in the beginning of the book.
Right.
Where I actually woke up one morning and, you know, my husband wasn't there.
Right.
And you just kind of have that, like, oh, is he here? Did he, like, take the dog
So this
for a
actually
walk?
happened to you?
Well,
Kind of.
he wasn't gone.
Right.
But, you know, you do that little thing where, oh, is he, you know, do you hear the toaster? Is the coffee on? And then it was just that one moment, and then I thought, hey, what if he really was? You know, it wasn't some kind of fantasy moment or anything. It was just like, what would that be like? What if you woke up and he wasn't here?
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those, you know, that's how it works a lot of times. There's
And
just
so,
that moment where you go. But then for me, there's that, but then there's that other more important piece about, like, what's on your mind at a given time. You know, it has to have more.
Yeah.
And so it's usually something that I'm thinking a lot about at a given time of my life.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking a lot about guilt and, you know, how we be human in a life and deal with our own mistakes and how we come to terms with all those. And so that's what kind of merged together.
You were thinking a lot about guilt. Did you know that was going to move into the piece? Did you
I think
sense that
so,
as soon
yeah.
as you first imagined the story?
I mean, I don't know. You know, creativity is so bizarre. You know, you can't really like sift it out and make it logical. So I think I knew that I wanted to write about that, and then it was looking for the story. You know, I think it's kind of how that one works. It works different ways with different books. You know, sometimes it's but yeah, I think then it just kind of did the magical thing. And
To me, writing has taught me tons, but it teaches me again and again that when I go to the desk, I must learn to trust each time.
Gosh, that's exactly the word I was going to use.
Trust.
Yes.
Your living this is your living.
Totally. And it's, you know, and every time I was just writing to another writer friend of mine, and I said, every time it's terrifying to me. Every
time you
single
write.
time. Every time. I'm on book, well, now I'm on book 11 to be published. That makes me on book 16 total. And it's still terrifying, you know, because there's that feeling like, you know, if it will be there or not be there. And then you trust that. Or even when I write a piece for something else, or write an article, or write whatever, all the other kinds of things that come along with the job that you write. You think, is it? Oh, look, it's there.
Yes. You know, you have wonderful technique. Not surprisingly, you've been at this a while, but you love to write. And I never took classes, and I taught myself. And I know how I taught myself.
You know, I didn't either.
I know.
Yeah.
And so for the viewers maybe who are interested in writing, but maybe are not that interested in the idea of going to a class, how do you learn craft? How do you self-teach craft?
By reading.
By
Easy.
reading.
That's all. But I think that begins when you first learn to read.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, well, and by writing, of course. I mean, you have to do it a lot.
Just trial and error.
And before I always say it's like you can't think, oh, I'm going to learn to play the violin and now I'm going to perform on stage. Yeah. Well, it doesn't work like that. And logically, we know that about playing the violin. A lot of people don't seem to apply that same thing to writing, where it can take years. It does take years to really know what you're doing. It takes a long time, so you have to write a lot. But reading is what really gives you that sense. You know, again, I don't know how to explain my technique.
Yeah.
I just know when it's right and when it's not, and that's from reading.
So we were talking earlier about this, and I have a lot of admiration for your approach to marketing, which is you really prefer to let the work do the work. In other words, let the book do the work, which is somewhat in contrast to a lot of what's going on right now in the publishing world. And so maybe talk a bit about, I guess, your philosophy around how your work reaches people and why it's so.
Well, that was from a lot of years of experience, because I've been doing this for a long time now.
Before there was social media, for
right,
instance.
and not that I don't do all that, because I do, and I kind of love it. You know, I really do. I love interacting with my readers, and my Facebook page is very active, and I love that, and I finally got on Twitter, and that's really fun too. I really do. I enjoy that. I enjoy being with my readers when I get to meet them, and meeting booksellers and librarians and all that. I just love that. But I think that, you know, we just, writers often get told out of some, and we listen out of some anxiety and fear on our part. We're told that we need to go out and this, and we need to go out and that, and we need to go out and this and this, and writers, especially new writers, glom onto that because we're anxious, and
everybody wants
business
success.
Is crazy. So you know, why wouldn't we be anxious? And so there's this nervous kind of thing that happens, and I worry about that as advice. I think primarily because a lot of time can be spent that way. When I really truly believe and know from my own experience what's been true is that energy needs to be put into writing that next book and making it amazing book. Right. And then the PR happens on its own that way. And we don't have to do that. But that's the best use of our time.
Sometimes all that energy around the marketing feels like a distrust of the book itself. And almost
I think it's just
fear that it's not enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, well, our business, look at how hard our business is. I mean, 99.8% of books get rejected, you know, all the stuff. We know how hard it is, and we always think that the hard part is to get that first book published. Right. The harder thing is to stay in this business. Why is that so hard?
Why is that more challenging, do you think, than the first one?
Oh man, to stay in it, you have to keep producing really great stuff. Right. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of commitment. You have to, really, that is your job, and you have to bring it every time. So
what I'd like you to do is...
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead. Bring it on.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think back, and you're sitting, imagine young Deb Caletti, just writing book number 1, is sitting across from me. What would you tell her?
I'd say, oh, you poor thing.
Poor
dear.
What would you tell her about what she's about to do what's the one thing she should know but she hasn't learned? What would you tell that
She doesn't know that it's going to be a long road. And you have to hang on to the love and the reason that you're doing it, and that it's the best way to really hang on is just to hold on to the real reasons that you're doing it, not because you think there might be some fame or some life-changing something that's going to happen. Because so many people say, oh, I want to be a famous writer, or I want to be published. But those are things that, to me, those are really good reasons for doing this. There are a lot of other ways to do that and make that happen. But this isn't a good way to do that, because you're really going to get, this is tough. So to hold on to those, to hold tight to those, what we were talking about, the reasons you need it, the real good reasons you need it to understand your life, because it's who you are, because it's what you're passionate about. Hang on to those, and then go for it with all you have. That's right. That's what I would tell her.